Commissioners. Wrong decisions by a judge are not misconduct, even if they fly in the face of the evidence or appear based on perjured testimony, and even if the judge misapplies the law. That is a direct quote from the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, and that, Commissioners, is why we need judicial reform in Texas. D.A. Sorrells was a judge. D.A. Sorrells, who won't meet with me, answer my letters, return phone calls, or answer any questions from mine, who won't release the body camera that I've requested. And why not? Because the video evidence flies in the face of the story his office is telling. When the DA's office isn't the standard bearer for justice, corruption ensues. I've seen the injustice, and I've spoken about my experience before. But there are many who've suffered far worse than I have. And for the rest of my time, I'll read a letter from one such individual. I don't know him personally, Mr. Brendan Jones, and honestly, I hesitated to read this letter. I can't vouch for everything he says, but I believe him. And in the end, Mr. Jones and I ask you the same. Listen to citizens, ask questions, and think about what you don't see or don't hear in terms of the answers that our DA should provide. From Mr. Brendan Jones, this is my story. In 2021, then Judge Sorrells acted to silence me, issuing a bench warrant for my arrest for non-appearance while I stood in front of him at trial and in front of multiple witnesses. In January of 2021, my wife's former partner and father of my stepdaughter sued my wife in district court. His attorney, Timothy Vinson, is the largest donor for Judge Jesus Navarez. Together, Mr. Vinson, Judge Navarez, and the Sheriff's Department intimidated, harassed, and coerced my family using legal proceedings to separate me from my wife and my wife from her daughter. Mr. Vinson made baseless claims that my wife and I committed child abuse. Eventually, Judge Crawford Catterton held me in criminal contempt. I was to be held for 180 days, or until I revealed the whereabouts of my wife and stepdaughter. That's extortion taking place under the guise of justice. After 15 days, I was heard by Judge Navarez, who released me from contempt. But at the same hearing, I was retroactively charged with resisting arrest for the arrest that took place in his court just 15 days prior. Shortly thereafter, I was heard by Judge Sorrells of the 10th Criminal Court. Judge Sorrells determined that the state had no ground to charge me as the initial arrest was not lawful. But Judge Sorrells then used his judicial power to silence me, again issuing a bench warrant for my arrest for non-appearance while I stood in front of him and multiple witnesses. I'm asking the Commission to do a full investigation regarding these matters in the family and criminal courts. I also ask that any current resident of Tarrant County that's been similarly impacted by the judicial system, please make your story known. Thank you, Commissioners, for your time. And again, from Mr. Brendan Jones, he concludes with, may God's love shine through all of us.
Thank you. All right, next we have Robert Bucher.
Good morning, Commissioners Court. I kind of want to speak on judges, and I'm going to speak on the jail as well, something I personally know. I've done 10 years of corrections from the TDCJ level all the way down to the municipality level. Well, personally, I have somebody that has been incarcerated before, under false pretenses. Pretty much when you get falsely accused, you have to go through the system, and it's not fun. Well, when this individual was held in Tarrant County, this person happens to be a heart patient, which not getting their medication properly, and we just had a death not even 2 weeks ago reported because of not proper medication being given what you want to give, given what you think you give. And I even heard during a visitation with this individual that we can give when we want to, when we have to. I said that's not acceptable for a heart patient that has terminally ill, and this person I know very well, and it was very disheartening. That's one of the many issues that we're having inside the Tarrant County Jail. We talk about training and all that, but we don't look at the JPS side. They do what they want to do. Give the medicine the way they want to. Seems to be a reoccurring thing in Tarrant County to do what you want to do, and that even goes to the judges wanting to legislate from the bench, not following the color of law or rule of law. If somebody wants to say, hey, we're going to send you to, let's say, PSY, which has a contract with the county, you go sit in a room full of sex offenders and you're not a sex offender, but yet you had to take a test that has nothing to do with your charge, is absolutely ridiculous. And I've seen this happen, and it's time that I speak out. I've done 10 years, and I've seen a lot in my 10 years. A lot. I've seen a lot of misjustice, injustice. I even seen somebody get brought in on the wrong charge, and I heard the sergeant over the jail say, find the charge that works instead of letting this person go and live to fight another day. I was so appalled at that. But we want to train, but we need to start with the top leadership. Instead of staying in Washington, D.C., staying inside all the pictures and hanging out with everybody else, why don't you go fix your jail? Fix it. There's a lot of problems going on inside the jail. We need more than just training. We need the sheriff to either put up or get out, period. We have a lot of problems trying to get any open records requests. That goes from our own GOP, and I will call them out because it's ridiculous that we should have this. If somebody's doing something wrong, we need our commissioners to say, it's time to change our county and get it right, because our Tarrant County GOP has just the word Tarrant in there. I think we should all start holding them accountable, establishment or not. It don't matter what party you're in. If there's issues, we need to handle it as a whole. But it's time to start looking at the jail and saying, okay, what's the problem? Is it the leadership? If it is, then we need to fix that, or we need to shape up and ship out and do something different. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Daniel Bennett.
Commissioner Brooks, thank you. You couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it that good about the comptroller's office and it being a local issue. Thank you. To you, Ms. Simmons, Commissioner Simmons, I hope GK will supply you with a Venn diagram and a flow chart of court share before the April meeting of all parties involved, and annotate within the Venn diagram and the flow chart where the monies are allocated through the years from 2011 to current. Shouldn't be that difficult. As far as the railroad's concerned, let's hope they have catastrophic insurance payable to this court for dispersion to the people who are harmed should we have a train accident. We don't need the state telling us what we need to make people that conduct business within Tarrant County to keep our citizenry safe to do. We can do that on our own. Let's talk about TAD. I have a solution for this court on TAD, and please hear me. Minute 57, I don't know if I can get through this. Back on March 3rd, when they had that meeting, it was a called meeting. It was not a regular meeting. The agenda did not reflect it. Under Open Meetings Act, you're supposed to reflect special, emergency, and called meetings. Still to this day, we don't know who called the meeting. I want you to look at the executive session language. No one on this board is an attorney except for you, Judge. Posting up for the meeting was misleading to the public. Under Texas Open Meetings Act, Government Code 551, the language defining the purpose for the executive session is not vague, but it is misleading and not clear. There's two things in the act. The language reflected within the posted agenda cited code under 551.071, it states consultation with TAD's attorney regarding matters. That was posted by TAD. TAD's attorney, consultation with TAD's attorney regarding matters. TAD's attorney was not in executive session. The board's attorney was. And the public was misled in that language thinking TAD's attorney is going into executive session. I bring this to your attention following the requirement to consult with the counsel of the governing body concerning any doubt to the specificity of notice. That's language right out of the handbook from the Attorney General's office. The statute's clear, stating that the governing body should consult with its attorney. Mr. Tepper, the general counsel to the board of directors of the Tarrant Appraisal District, I read this letter to him. I said, you are the duly recognized general counsel to the TAD board. You do not work for TAD. You are not paid by TAD. You were not hired by TAD. You were hired by that board. And the language issued at that agenda should be nullified, and that meeting should not exist. If you would fire a mandus with the court under 552.312, you can kill that meeting, have a judge rule in your favor, your recall stands, Wildman's out, and we can knock this nonsense off. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. All right, I don't have anyone else signed up to speak. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? All right, seeing none, before we entertain a motion to adjourn, I would like to recognize 3 additional special guests with us. Sophia, Mia, and Penelope Ramirez. Could you please stand? Spring